Hello everybody, this is Garrett again. This video is going to be a basic overview of how to disassemble and clean an AR-15. 99%, and in fact all AR-15s, are pretty much identical as far as how you disassemble them, take them apart. So even if your weapon looks a little different than this one, you can take the steps that I take in this video and apply them to your weapon. Just for the record, this is a Wyndham Weaponry HBC model AR-15. I will be using my hops cleaning kit. I got this nice little bag at Walmart for like 10-15 bucks. And it comes with all of the essentials, and I've just added things to it as I've gone along. So I already did a little bit of cleaning. This is actually take 2 of the video because my wife came in and you guys got blared with Rugrats. So let's try this again. My toothbrush. So I'm eating dinner too. So what I always do first, I take off my sling so that way I can move parts around and not worry about having to untwist my sling when I get the weapon back together. So I put about 100 rounds through it today. Had no problems. It was probably pretty funky. Lay the sling over here. Alright, when you're looking at the weapon, you'll notice that there's 2 pins here and here. They're push pins, so you'll see that they're big on this side. From this side, you can just push on them with your finger. And they pop right out. You can grab it with the other side with your fingernail, pull it all the way through. Now, this one's usually easier. This one's usually a little tougher because it's more dependent on weight. Once you got this one out, the weapon will rotate open. But I like to go ahead and take it all completely apart. So you just push on this one. If it resists, try making sure that there's no downward weight on the front or back half of the weapon. So don't have your barrel up here hanging on its own and trying to push that pin through because it'll put weight on it. So anyway, we've got it through. We'll grab it from the other side. There we go. So, now separated the upper and lower halves of the weapon. Now you'll see that you still got the charging handle and the bolt carrier inside. So just turn the upper half upside down so it doesn't just fall out. Press the lock on the charging handle, pull it to the rear, lift the bolt up and out, bolt carrier. Lift the charging handle up and out. Now you'll notice on the side of the charging handle there's these slight little tongue grooves, and you notice inside the upper half of the weapon there's little grooves where those tongue grooves go in, because you can't just lift it out at any point. You have to pull it back till it gets there, then it comes out. So we've got our charging handle and our bolt carrier out. Take the foregrips off. Yours might look different. It might have rails, it might be different shaped. They all come off the same way. All you got to do, and it's usually kind of stiff, so you might want to press it against your chest or a table or something. This ring basically pulls back, and then you can lift the 2 halves of the carrying handles off. You see the seam here where they separate. So I'm going to push it against my chest, pull back on this ring, and I'm going to lift the top half off first. I'm going to rotate it over and do the same thing. Pull back, lift, and there, now you got access to your gas tube, which mine's kind of funky from the range today. You can lay the upper half of the weapon over here. The buffer spring serves 2 functions. A, to absorb recoil so it doesn't kick very hard. Primary function is to throw the bolt back forward. The bolt comes back into this spring, the spring pushes it back forward and makes it chamber the next round. There's a little spring-loaded pin right here that holds the buffer spring in place. What I usually use is a toothbrush. You just press down on that pin. Be careful because it is spring-loaded. The spring may catch on the pin, that's fine. It's usually easier if you lock the hammer to the rear. here. The buffer pad will come out of the spring, so you can take and wipe the spring down, wipe the buffer pad down. Now, for disassembling the bolt and bolt carrier. First thing you want to do, see the firing pin and retaining pin. You'll see it on the other side, it's just a little bit, but there's a little loop on this side. You can grab it with your fingernail or with an ink pen or anything small. Pull that pin out. Lay it off to the side. Once that pin's out, your firing pin can be removed. If it doesn't want to come out when you turn the bolt up, just tap it on the table and your firing pin will drop out. At that point, if the bolt is forward, push it back. It will rotate slightly. You see this little guy here? Rotate it so that it is not being blocked by the gas tube. It may be a little stiff because the internal components of my HPC are kind of a matte finish as compared to a shiny finish. Maybe it's because it's new, because it's not really rough. But anyway, rotate this guy so that it's no longer blocked by the gas tube, and then remove that. Lay it on your pad. At this point, the bolt can be removed entirely. Lay the bolt carrier off to the side because there's no more components on this that I'm going to remove for this video. Now, this is as far, and in the field you wouldn't even take the bolt out. This is as far as most people go. And it's as far, and 99% of the time it's as far as you need to go. If, for whatever reason, you feel that it's dirty inside the bolt, or you're just curious, you want to clean it. You see this little pin right there? This is your... Alrighty, sorry about that. My camera died and I had to recharge it. I've already done a little bit of the cleaning on the weapon. Mainly just the barrel. So where we left off was how to remove the extractor. First thing I will tell you is never remove this pin in the field. Hell, don't ever remove the bolt in the field unless you're really confident in yourself. Reason being, this pin is really small, and if you lose it, yeah, you can put this back in there and put it inside the bolt carrier, and the first round you fire, it's going to explode. So just kind of depress the extractor a little with your finger to take the pressure off the spring inside. You can use your firing pin or anything small to just push on one end of it. So I'm going to come over here on my little carpet, push it through, grab it from the other side, and then you can remove the extractor itself from the side of the bolt. There is your extractor retaining pin. We'll lay that down there so we can keep track of it. Now at this point, you can clean inside here. I like to use Q-tips. I twist as I go in the gas tube. Keep them together. All the way down. You'll see it go all the way through, and you'll be able to see it come out. You'll be able to see the little bit of the fuzz right here where the firing pin pokes out. Then you just twist and remove. The reason I like to remove the extractor when I run Q-tips through here is because if the fuzz comes off in here, I can get to it. When you're using Q-tips, I recommend cheap Dollar Tree Q-tips. Cheaper the better, because they tend to be harder and less comfortable on your ear, and therefore better for cleaning your weapon because they don't fray and come apart. One particular area you want to pay attention to on your bolt carrier is inside this gas tube here. So you can twist, run a Q-tip, bring it back out until it comes out clean. I've already done a little bit of cleaning on here, so it's fairly clean, no big deal. You also want to take, I like to take, you can either take a larger cleaning rag than what you use on your barrel, or a Q-tip, and go in either end of the bolt carrier itself and just kind of clean all the powder from there until it comes out clean. Alright, so I'll get to the nitty gritty of that later. We've removed the buffer spring, we've removed our carrying handles. Of course, running a rod through your barrel with a cloth until the cloth comes out clean. I'm obviously not quite done with that yet. Cleaning inside the receiver here where your bolt carrier sits. Clean inside here and get any powder out of there. Don't forget to get in the end of the barrel where the flash suppressor or whatever you have up here. Make sure you get in there because it does get powder on there, and it's a good idea to keep it clean. So yeah, that's the basics of disassembling and cleaning your AR-15. If you're curious about what size rag or what size one of these things to use, if you don't have one that says, you know, 223 or 5.56 millimeter, the barrel on a AR-15 is the same size as a 22 long rifle barrel. I mean, of course, there's 0.003 millimeters of difference, but a 22 long rifle piece will fit through there just fine. So yeah, I'll make a video here in about 20 minutes of how to reassemble the weapon now that we've got it disassembled. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and I'll try to address them as they come, if they come. Yeah, there you go. Hey, sorry, I'm making this video in like 4 or 5 parts. But anyway, I forgot to mention, one of the most important parts of your AR-15 to pay attention to, as best you can because it's hard to get to, is the star chamber, which is this area right back in here. Not sure if you can see it, but it looks like a giant gear. The bolt locks in there. The space between that gear and where the barrel attaches to the weapon generally gets very dirty with powder, brass filings from the rounds going off and being extracted and just thrown around by the bolt. So run a Q-tip, put a big rag on the end of your cleaning rod and push up in here and rotate it around, spin it around as best you can. Try to get that area clean. Another area you may want to pay attention to is if you see brass coloring here, that's fine, that's normal. This is the brass deflector. The whole point of this little knob is so that when the brass gets ejected, it does not fly backwards and hit you in the face. So you can just take a rag, rub on that, it's fine, no big deal. So I just wanted to add that little bit to my cleaning video because I thought that those 2 parts were important.